Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear and without distortion. It seems that my microphone was frying the last few days, and finally this morning it completely quit on me and doesn't work at all now. Well, it works somewhat, but not well enough for me to continue to use it, and it sounds bad. So I went and bought a new mic. Should be a better one. I'm using a Sennheiser dynamic mic with a Scarlett audio interface, whereas before I was using a Blue Yeti. And the Yeti's a pretty good mic. It's easy to use. But the setup I've got now, I think, is a little more high end and will be more easily upgradable in the future. At some point, I'd like to get a Shure. I think it's a 4B. It's one of the broadcast mics. Like if you ever see Joe Rogan or DJs, that's usually the mic that they use, and they sound super nice. But they are rather expensive. So until YouTube reactivates my partner program and starts paying me again, I'm not going to do that. Until then, I'll have to do something less expensive. All right. So another problem I had, I actually recorded an episode this morning, and I went to load my game again today, and it was crashing. My save game was corrupted. All my autosaves were corrupted. So I filed a bug report, and I'm waiting to hear back to see if there's some way I can fix it. But in the meantime, since I was having the audio issues anyway, I figured I'll just redo it. So what I was able to do is use Windows restore previous versions on my save game, and I was able to recover yesterday's version of the save, and was able to load it. So that's where I'm starting, and I'll just redo today's work. So first of all, I did load a new mod called Picker Extended. Picker has a lot of interesting features. I mean, many, many interesting features. It would be hard even to go over them all. But one of the main reasons I got it is because it has a feature to automatically sort chests. So when we open this warehouse, it sorts everything and puts all the similar items together automatically. I think that's a good feature, especially with the warehouses, because they tend to get cluttered and hard to see what we have in there. It also has a feature that basically does the same. Basically does the same thing that the auto deconstruct mod does, where it'll mark mined out mining drills for deconstruction. So I uninstalled auto deconstruct since I don't need to have that working twice. Another thing that I had to do, my steel smelting had stopped because slag was backed up, so I added another warehouse to start to empty this one of slag. So now we're going to have 2 warehouses full of slag pretty soon. But that's running again. I also added a second blast furnace to the steel, because ideally you would have 2 iron ingot furnaces feeding 1 steel blast furnace. I didn't have that before, but we're using more and more steel now, so I did that so that we could get a little more output here. But our iron ore is still rather anemic, no pun intended, meaning it's in short supply. So what I'd like to do, just so we can get more steel to make more of the buildings and things that we're going to need to continue expanding, I'd like to start bringing iron ore from our refining area. So this is the refining area that we were working on last time. I've expanded it to include stereotype, and then I have half a line each of bobmonium, rubite, givelite, and crotinium. Right, and then those go into these warehouses. From the warehouses, I'm pulling out the geodes, and each one makes a different color of geode, so I just set the filters appropriately on each one of these loaders. So all the geodes travel upwards on this red belt to this warehouse here, where they're being stored for future use. And then after the after the sorting of the chunks, I'm doing a similar thing with the slag. So I'm pulling the slag out and sending that up here to this warehouse. And so in each of these warehouses then, on the outputs of these sorting machines, I'm collecting the various ores. And I put a loader, each one filtered for a specific ore type, so that we can get them all out of there. So what I intend to do next is to set up a bus, or something like a bus, you know, a series of belts that will take the ore from here. I'm going to bring it out a ways, and then I'm going to go north. And I want to bring it out because I want to leave myself room to add in the refining into crystals and refining into purified ores after the chunks. So I want to leave myself a little bit of extra space to do that. So I'll bring these belts out and then bring them up. Probably what I should do is just move the warehouses out. But they're already rather full, so... Well, it's not going to get any easier, is it? Yeah, I think I'll do that. So we'll move the warehouses out as far as we can so that we have plenty of room. And then I was debating on where to put the train stations where the ore is going to go. I kind of imagined that I would have it over here, but there's not enough room to do all of this and have another set of rail stations here. You know, like this one, but mirrored. That was what I was hoping to accomplish, but there's not enough room. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add more stations up here. So I'll bring the ore up and then over, and then we'll load in over there. Alternatively, I could extend this rail line up and over here, and then load over here. No, I'd rather load all in the same place. So I'll just set up more train stations here. We may run into those thermal wells, but we'll try to avoid it. All right, and then once we have that set up, then we can start to bring some iron ore back to the main base so that we can get more steel made. So that's generally the plan. Let's see, refining. Okay, that train honking is another feature of the new mod. You can disable it, and I'm thinking about doing that, but I know I'll be really annoyed if I get run over by a train, so probably more annoyed than I will be by this sound. So I'll keep it for now until we get to a point where it's just really driving us nuts. Almost there already. Okay. So let's take out these trees. And what I intend to do is I'm going to leave these 3 stations open to take care of getting the acids out of here, or whatever other uses we might think of. Or not acids, but the wastewater. Maybe I'll convert wastewater to acid or other fluids here, but in any case, we've got sulfuric wastewater from the bobmonium, stearite, and sapphirite that creates sulfuric wastewater. And then the rubite creates nitric wastewater. The givelite creates fluoric wastewater, and the crotinium creates chloric wastewater. And I'm sure that there are important products that we can make with all of those things when the time comes. For now, I've got full tanks, and I'm just clarifying the rest of it. Okay. So the other thing is that I'm going to set up these train stations a little bit differently. then I have these, because I want to start using warehouses instead of the bulk rail loaders, because I want to start controlling how much material we place into each train. I don't want to just load it until it's full and continue working in that way. So this way, if there's a train station that needs, actually I want to do it like this. Yeah, so if there's a train station that needs, say, 5,000 ore, I would like to set up the train station so that it only loads 5,000 ore and then stops, so that we don't have to worry about moving too much material around that we're not going to use. Okay, so let me set up one of these, and we'll start to lay out our prototype train station using warehouses. Okay, so let me get an LTN station. Do I have some in here? Yes. Great. Okay, so we'll put the first one right here. And we'll call this refining FECU. All right, so this station will be loading iron and copper ore. All right, so I'm going to put 2 warehouses, one for each car. And then we'll put in our power poles where we normally do. Okay, and now we have power. Speaking of power, I think we're going to need more power soon. Okay, so now let's bring the belts over. So what I want to do is I want to leave like 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And then we'll bring our first belts over this way. And this is going to be a lot of belt. I think I've got enough with me to at least get the copper and the iron done. Okay, let's bring this out further. And however much room I leave is probably not going to be enough. But we'll start here. Okay. So if you see that number hovering over my character when I pick up a belt, that's another feature of Picker. It'll give you a total for how much of that item you have in your entire inventory, rather than only showing you what you have in the current stack that's in your hand. So then you really know if you're about to run out or not. Okay, I can clean this up. I was using that for just trying to plan some things out. Okay. I'm probably going to have to go back for more belts, unfortunately. All right. So here, let's keep using our blueprint. Oh, bummer. Almost made it. Okay, we're going to have to go back and get some more belt. Oh, you know what? I can craft some by hand. This might be enough to get me there. This is where that crafting speed research is a real blessing. There we go. Oh, you know what? I'm going to need more anyway. Why? Because we've got iron and copper here, and we have iron and copper there as well. And those are going to have to go over and get merged into those belts with splitters. Yeah, so I'm going to have to run back to the base. Sorry about that. I thought 400 belts would be enough, but I was mistaken. All right, so the way I'm going to set up the warehouse is similar to a way that I've seen Nilaus do, which I really like. We're going to load in. We're going to load into the first warehouse only from the side. That way, we don't have to have so much room on this side to get belts and stuff in, to get belts and loaders in. So we'll come in here, and then we'll use filter stack inserters to keep the two warehouses balanced. Make sure that they have equal quantities of each item in both. And then we're also going to use filter stack inserters to load the trains with the appropriate quantity of materials. And I've already made... I have 28 filter stack inserters made right now, so that'll be... I'll craft some more. I mean, that'll be enough for... That'll at least be enough to get the first train station or two done. Okay, there's my 400 belts. I'll grab some more as well. Tin came to a stop not too long ago because we were getting too much silicon ore, so I wasn't getting any more tin out. So I just put another chest there and emptied that one. So I've got a bunch of extra silicon there. And I'm also dumping silicon into a silo now, which I wasn't doing before. So hopefully that'll keep that going. Looks like our slag is flowing again. And we're making steel. So, all right. So everything there is still going relatively okay. All right, let me grab the rest of these belts, and then we'll head back and keep doing what we were doing. And then, you know, something else I need to do is come back to the mall here and get some more production set up of things like the stack inserters. I'd also like to start making some of the tier 1 buildings, you know, like the ore crushers and the sorting machines and all that kind of stuff. Just so that we have at least the first tier done, and then I can grab those and then craft the higher tiers by hand if we have to, because all the hand crafting that I'm doing is really starting to bother me. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it in this morning's episode or yesterday's episode, so I'll mention it again in case it was this morning. I relocated the train depot because I needed more room here to keep working. And the depot was, I thought, getting in the way. And while I did that, I changed the design to use a one-way loop rather than using the two-way rails. This is a bit more compact, and there's only one entrance and exit, which I like. It's a lot simpler, and this will be easy to expand as well. You know, we've got enough room here before we hit that coal mine that we can probably add another 6 or 8 train stations. And the setup is the same as before. I've got a refueling stop, or I have a stop for fuel. I have a passenger station, and then I have 8 depot stations right now. And then I just added the additional 4 trains. Okay. All right. So, yeah, let's finish with our belts first of all. I'll be happy when I get more portable power so that I can get some legs added to my rig here so I can run faster. I'm afraid if I do it now, I'll just end up using all my power and make my bots go hungry. There we go. I'll just copy that whole thing. And we're going to do the same thing right there. Oh, here's one of my bots. Went to pick up a mining drill somewhere for me. Nice guy. Okay, great. All right, so we've got iron and copper from 3 different warehouses. And those are now coming over onto that set of belts. Now in the other ones, you can see I've got aluminum, cobalt, gold, lead, nickel, silicon, tin, zinc, copper, iron, and here I also have silver. So that's 10, if I counted correctly, that's 10 different ores that we're making right now. And there are 16 in total, if I'm not mistaken. But to get the other ones, we need to further refine the chunks. Okay. So over here, we will put a pair of loaders. And one will be for iron, and the other will be for copper. And I'm going to let a little bit go in there, and then I'm going to stop it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 4 of those filter stack inserters. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me put my lights here on the station. Okay. And then I'm going to need an arithmetic combinator, which I'll put right there. And this one is just going to take all of our inputs and turn them into negative numbers. And output them again. And actually I'm going to flip that over. So what I want to do is take the contents of this warehouse and make it a negative number. And take the contents of this warehouse and make it a positive number. And then that negative and positive will sum together on the output here. And then we're going to feed those to the filter inserters. And then the filter inserters, we're going to change the mode of operation to set filters. So this way, any positive value will get added to the filters for these inserters. Okay, so if there's anything that is in this chest in a lower quantity than this one, then it'll set the filter and they'll be able to transfer items. So the beauty of this is that it'll keep these two balanced. I mean, it'll keep them balanced as long as you're going from this one to this one. This is only a one-way setup, okay? But we can load into this one, it'll balance into that one, and that way we can load both train cars equally. And the nice thing about this is that you can copy-paste this, and no matter what you put in these warehouses, it'll keep them balanced between the two. All right, we can see it kind of going back and forth between iron and copper. And if we hover over them, we can see that they both have roughly the same quantity of material, which is exactly what we want. Okay, now let's set up the station itself. I'm going to set this to 1 train only. What else? Oh, I want the provide. No, I don't want to provide threshold because this is a provider. I think that's it. Let me check these other provider stations. Okay. Yeah, the number of trains is the only provider signal, or the only signal that we're going to share here. Okay, and then I'm going to use a green wire to add up the contents of these two chests. I'll add that to the output of this constant combinator and put that there. And that should mean that we now have iron and copper available on the network. Okay, so now let's set up the output side of things. Actually, I need to pause for a second so I can check something. I'll be right back. Okay, so when a train is coming here to pick something up, when the train stops, this will send a signal that tells us what the expected quantity is to be loaded. And then we can also pull a signal from the train station itself to tell us how much is actually in there. So doing something like this again, and actually, you know what? I'm not sure if the expected quantity is going to be a negative number already, but I'm going to assume that it's going to be a positive number because it's saying what inventory it expects to be loaded. All right, so I'm going to use a green wire, and I'm going to put that on the input, and I'm going to multiply that. No, I want that to be the positive number. I want the train contents to be the positive number. No, I want the expected value to be the positive number. That way, when the train contents are less, we will still have a positive number. Okay. So let me and I'm going to use the green wire on all of these, and that's going to plug into the output. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing here where we set that to filter, and that will also help us to make sure that we load the correct material. So if it comes here for iron, it'll only load iron and not copper. Okay. So this one, again, is going to be, actually I can just copy this. It's going to be each times -1, and I'll put each. All right, and then, yeah, the negative number is going to be the contents of the train. So I'm going to feed that in with red. And we'll tell that to read train contents. And I don't want to send anything to the train. Okay, so that'll read the train contents, multiply it by -1. Okay, and then the actual quantity that it wants, I'm going to add that to the output here. So that number will start off being more positive than what's actually in the train. That'll set the filter, and then as soon as the train has more than what the required quantity is, that number will turn negative and the filters will no longer be set. Okay, so that's the theory behind all this. Now let's see if it works. So to do that, we're going to need to set up a station with some demand for iron ore. So let's go set that up at the main base. By the way, please give me your feedback on the audio. Let me know if this is better, worse, the same. I'd like to hear from you on that. Okay, so I'll make use of this station here. No, I think I'll do it up here instead. Okay, and here I will use the bulk rail unloaders, because I do want to unload whatever we bring completely. But I need some iron, as always. So let's go get some iron so we can load that up. Make a couple of those. This looks like a good place to stop. Gimme, gimme, gimme. There we go. All right. Okay, so that's going to go there. And then I'm just going to make a blueprint like that. Because it's hard for me to remember exactly where those rail loaders have to go, or where the unloaders have to go in relation to the stop. There we go. Oh, okay. I want to set this up the same way as the others, and I was just trying to figure out how that's done. There. Okay, so this will be the unloader, and then we need a constant combinator on the requesting station. Actually, we need 2 of them. Okay, so this one is to limit it to 1 train at a time, and because we don't have a stacker. And then this is to set a very high provide threshold so that we never provide from this station, we only receive. And then this is where we set what it is that we want. So in our case, we want iron ore. And let's start by just requesting 1,000. Okay, and then we just hook those up. And nothing happened. Okay, we need to rename this. Main FE. All right. Oh, it has to be a negative number. There we go. Minus 1,000. Okay, so let's see if it works. There goes the train. Looks like that way is the shortest path. If this works the first time, I'll be quite pleased. So far, so good. Nice. No path. Okay. Well, at least that part worked. Why is there no path? That's the same as these. Did that help? No. Okay, well, let's go over there and see if I can find out what's happening with my signaling. In fact, one thing I could do is I could go to that station from here. automatically, and then we'll see if it stops somewhere. Well, if there's no path, it would give me a no path already. So I think I'll probably just have to drive that train manually until I can figure out where my signaling problem is. Okay, but at least the loading and unloading worked properly, and that's really cool. Okay, yeah, so we want to go to main FE, and it's telling me no path. Alright, so when I leave here, and I go this way, let's try it when I pass that signal. No. How about when I pass that signal? No. Alright, how about now? No. Let's see. Alright, so it's going to want to go left. How about now? Okay. Alright, so I think the problem must be close to the station itself. To the unloading station, that is. See if we can get through this intersection. Nope. Okay, so let me do that manually. Okay, so it's not that intersection, and I don't think it's any of this straight path either, since there's not a lot that you can screw up here, as long as you don't leave out a section of track. But we'll stop here again just to check. Nope. Okay, so here it's going to turn left. Nope. What the heck? I'm so dumb. This is on the wrong side of the track. All right. All right, we'll let that get unloaded. Oh, great. Give me that. Okay, you go back to the depot. Actually, stop. Let's just delete that whole schedule. Go back to the depot inactivity. All right. That's why I couldn't see where the cars were, because my station was on the wrong side. Guess you're never you're never too experienced to make stupid mistakes. Okay. So now we've got 1,000. We have to hook these up anyway. And those hook up onto the output of this. And then there. And then that goes there. Okay. So we've got 1,008. This is asking for us 1,000. All right, so let's change this now to 2,000. Whoops. Actually, it's got to be a little bit more because I've got over 1,000, so we're still slightly under the threshold. So we'll change it to 2,500. There we go. All right. Try this again. All right, train is leaving the depot. I can't believe I had the station on the wrong. That's such a rookie mistake. Okay. 1,500. Excellent. And it only loaded iron and no copper, which is also a nice feature. I'm actually quite surprised that it's working on the first try. There it goes. And then we unload. And then it goes back home. Okay. And now we have iron ore in the main base. Excellent. Okay. So we know now that this design works great for a train loading station for the ores. So what I will begin to do is get the rest of all of these ores over here to additional train stations so that they're all available on the network. And I'm just debating whether I want to continue with this. Yeah, I'll continue with this design here where I do this in pairs. Oh no, I can't, because then the next one is not going to have room. Like, I wouldn't be able to have this one and this one because the warehouses are going to be too close together. So in this case, it might be better. Yeah, and that's just not big enough. So it'll probably be better if I just have individual spurs coming off of this two-way line rather than doing it in pairs like I have been doing. It'll be a little more compact that way. Otherwise, I'm going to have to leave a big gap in between each of these pairs of rails, and it's going to end up taking up a lot of space. So I'll go ahead and get that set up, and then in the next episode, we can start looking at setting up some smelting so that we can start getting aluminum so that we can build the next tier of machines. I'd like to build leaching plants so that we can get more ore refining done. And for that, we're going to need concrete. Let's see. Okay, so that one's done. We're going to need concrete, brick, aluminum, and brass. Right, so brass is the other one that we'll have to get. So that's going to be, for the offsite smelting, that's going to be my priority, is just to start making aluminum and brass so that at least we can start handcrafting some of the other stuff that we need. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Appreciate your feedback as always, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.